Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named It's Leah in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I didn't invite my sister's boyfriend to my wedding because of his racist tattoos, but apparently he's changed. I am a 27-year-old white man getting married this summer to my fiancé, who is 29 and black. We are super excited, and honestly, planning a wedding as an interracial couple has had its ups and downs. Some family members weren't thrilled at first, but over time, most have come around. Here's the problem. My sister, who is 25, has been dating her boyfriend, let's call him Pete, 30, for about a year. Pete has a complicated past. He spent time in prison when he was younger, and during that time, he got heavily tattooed, including very visible racist tattoos. I'm talking swastikas, white power symbols, and so on. Now, to be fair, Pete has openly said he regrets his past. He's tried to distance himself from that chapter of his life, and my sister swears he's completely reformed. But here's the thing, he still has all the tattoos. They're on his neck, hands, and arms, unavoidable. My fiancé has made it clear she would feel extremely uncomfortable having Pete at the wedding, and honestly, so would I. My fiancé's family, many of whom I love dearly, would be absolutely horrified to see someone covered in those symbols at what's supposed to be a joyful, welcoming celebration. I pulled my sister aside and explained gently that while I appreciate that Pete has changed, his appearance still carries a lot of pain and meaning, and I don't feel comfortable having him there. I invited her but asked that Pete sit this one out. She flipped out, said I was being unforgiving, that if we believe people can change, I shouldn't punish him forever, and that by excluding him, I'm basically just as prejudiced. She told me if Pete isn't invited, she's not coming either. Now, my parents are involved, saying I'm blowing this out of proportion and risking a family blow-up over something that doesn't mean anything anymore. My fiancé says she understands it's complicated, but she's quietly grateful I took this stance. So am I the asshole for refusing to invite someone with racist tattoos, even though he supposedly left that ideology behind? Update. Hi everyone, thanks so much for all the thoughtful comments and advice on my original post. I really appreciated hearing so many perspectives, and it helped me work through this situation more calmly and fairly. After sitting with it for a bit, I decided to have an open, honest conversation with my sister and her boyfriend Pete. I explained to them why his tattoos were such a big concern, especially given the context of me marrying my black fiancé, with the many black family members and friends attending. I emphasized that it wasn't about punishing Pete or refusing to acknowledge that people can change, but rather about making sure the day felt safe, welcoming, and joyful for everyone present. To my surprise, Pete was incredibly understanding. He acknowledged that even though he's no longer the person who got those tattoos, they still carry real meaning and can cause pain just by being seen. He said he didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable on such an important day, and he offered to do whatever he could to help. After some discussion, we all agreed on a compromise. On the wedding day, our makeup artist will help cover up as many of his visible tattoos as possible. On top of that, Pete will wear long sleeves and high collars to keep things discreet. My sister was clearly relieved we found a solution that included him without ignoring the valid concerns. My fiancé is grateful too. She told me she feels respected and supported by the way this was handled, which honestly means the world to me. I'm so glad we were able to come to an agreement that balances grace, growth, and sensitivity without cutting people out or creating bigger rifts. Thank you again, Reddit, for helping me navigate this. Sometimes just reading different viewpoints really helps clarify what matters most. And a special thank you to everyone who suggested makeup as a solution and helped us reach out to local tattoo places or charities that might be able to help Pete get his tattoos removed or covered up given his current financial situation. Rick said, Pete is being more mature about this situation than OP's sister. OP should have had this conversation with him instead of with his sister from the very beginning. Then to this user just breathe said, my first thought was that if he had actually changed, there would be no way he would be upset about the consequences of his tattoos. Random Dude 01 said, hopefully the boyfriend gets in contact with those tattoo shops that offer free cover-ups for racist tattoos. I remember a story about a black woman who became the custodian of a white supremacist. She was able to put some sense into him and actually inspired him to see the truth. She paid for his tattoo cover-ups, and the story became so well known that many tattoo shops offered free cover-ups to keep the momentum going. Gunther Time said, that reminds me of the black man who went to a group of outspoken KKK members and helped them reform and change their ways. He attended some rallies and simply talked to them, helping them see him as a human being just like themselves. It really shaped a lot of how I view racism as a black man. This next post was made in the AIO subreddit by a user named Lusty Giggle. The post is titled, my boyfriend's friend abused his ex and he makes me uncomfortable but he won't drop him. My boyfriend and I have a childhood friend we'll call Alan. They've been close since middle school. Cool, whatever. Anyway, a month ago, Alan's girlfriend dumped him because he was cheating, not just texting other girls, but also guys. He had Grindr and 3 other apps, literally scheduling hookups behind her back. Super grimy stuff. When she found out and ended things, he apparently lost it. He begged her to take him back, and when she wouldn't, he snapped. From what I heard, he grabbed her by the throat and pinned her down. Then later, he keyed her car and slashed her tires. Yeah, real unhinged behavior. I didn't know the full story until yesterday when one of my girlfriends filled me in. I had seen my boyfriend hanging out with Alan a few times recently, but I thought it was just casual checking in on him stuff. Once I found out what really happened, I was livid. I called my boyfriend and told him straight up, what Alan did is seriously messed up and I don't get why you're still hanging out with him. He kind of tried to defend it, saying Alan's going through stuff and that he's known him forever, so it's hard to cut him off. He even said he warned Alan that if he ever touches another girl again, he'd beat him up. I told him I just assumed he'd drop anyone who did something that disgusting. Like, that should be a no-brainer, right? He went all quiet, told me goodnight, and hung up. He didn't text me at all the next day. Not a single hey or good morning. Nothing. So I talked to my mom about it, and she helped me write a message to try and explain where I'm coming from. I sent it to him, hoping it would get through. Spoiler, it didn't. He doubled down, said he didn't want to be the kind of friend who ditches someone when they're down. He literally said, that's the difference between me and you, and that it's the Christian thing to forgive and support people even when they mess up. Like, okay, sure, forgiveness is fine, but supporting a guy who choked and stalked his ex, that's your hill to die on? He ended the conversation by saying he had a lot to think about, then disappeared again. And honestly, I'm not even mad anymore, just kind of stunned and over it. Update. I told my boyfriend I was uncomfortable with his friend who abused his ex. He won't drop him, so I gave him space. A few days went by, no calls, no texts, no I've been thinking message like I halfway expected. Just silence. And I don't know what I thought would happen, that he'd come to his senses. Realize this isn't just about being a loyal friend, but about basic decency, respecting boundaries. Apparently not. I finally reached out again, mostly because I couldn't stand the limbo anymore. I told him, I'm not asking you to be heartless, I'm asking you to draw a line. Abuse isn't a mistake, you just wave off. And if you're choosing to stand by someone who did that, it makes me question your values. His response, a whole wall of text about how I don't understand male friendship, how he's trying to be a better influence for Alan, and how it's not his job to police his friends. He said I'm being too black and white and judgmental, and I just sat there staring at my screen. Like, how did we get here? I told him flat out, if you want to be friends with a guy who choked his girlfriend and vandalized her car, that's your choice. But it's also my choice not to be with someone who's okay with that. We haven't spoken since. I think the saddest part is realizing that the guy I thought I was building something with, someone I trusted, doesn't really see the problem. Or maybe he does, but not enough to act on it. And that says a lot. So yeah, I'm heartbroken, but I'm not confused anymore. User Aria Cannot Sing said, I don't ditch my friends when they cancel plans because their anxiety or depression hits. I don't ditch them when they don't answer my calls or, I don't know, like my social media posts. I ditched the friend who groped my roommate while she was napping. I ditched the friend who abused his girlfriend. These and OP's ex's friend are not examples of being loyal. To this, Killin13 said, to me, it's pretty simple. If you genuinely believe your friend went through some kind of mental health crisis that caused his actions, then supporting your friend looks like getting him into an inpatient facility for medical or psychiatric care and convincing him to take serious responsibility for his actions. But the ex sounds like he's just hanging out with Alan as if nothing happened. That's not supporting your friend. It's being an enabler. This final post was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Virgo. The post is titled, I told my husband he works for himself and not for our family. My husband and I have known each other for 6 years and have been married for almost 3 years now. We have a 1-year-old and we're expecting another baby. Our marriage has been full of emotional highs. We love each other and express it regularly. My husband has a 9-to-5 job, after which he is also a tutor. He started tutoring back when we were in college, and it was never an issue. He always had enough time. Even in the years leading up to the marriage and during the first year of our marriage, this was never a big problem. However, in the last year or so, it has become a big issue and it's getting worse. He keeps adding more classes to his schedule. Until last month, we had a red line, no classes on Sunday, as he would devote that entire day to us. But last month, he even added a class on Sunday, using the excuse that exams are starting. It started to feel like my son and I weren't a priority to him anymore. Some days, he comes home at 11 p.m. On other days, he does it online, but that's not much better because he still can't give us any time. Last Sunday, I finally spoke out and told him he was neglecting his family. He was offended and told me that he doesn't enjoy having to work so hard, but that he's doing it for our family. This is where I told him no, I think he does enjoy it. It gives him an excuse not to spend time with us and that he was doing this for himself, not for us. As things currently stand, our collective income is more than enough. There really was no need for him to add more classes on top of his existing ones. He's doing it for himself at this point. He's literally busy Monday through Saturday, and now he's trying to cross the red line we established for Sunday. We've been on bad terms since this fight. He keeps saying he can't believe I said he works for himself, not for us. Am I the asshole here? Update. Thank you for the feedback on the last post. The comments said that me asking him to adhere to the boundaries we established was reasonable. Some comments also suggested that I should not have implied that he works just to get away, so I was a little apologetic as well. After he came back, I decided to talk to him about this. The conversation was a bit of a train wreck. I brought up the fact that our income far exceeds our current and projected expenses, that my son and I were missing him and needed him to spend more time with us, and I made sure to stress that I appreciated all that he did. It just seemed like we were on completely different wavelengths. He said he kept taking more lessons and students because he wanted us to have a good standard of living, better vacations, better schools, and a second house. I was dumbfounded. I never knew he felt that way. I stressed that our current standard of living was great, we make enough money, and that if he thinks that way, there's no end in sight. What if he decided we should also have a third house or something? Right now, I needed him with me. At this point, I kind of lost control and started crying. I didn't mean to. It wasn't something I wanted to do to pressure him or anything, just the fact that we were at an impasse was wrecking me. I told him I'd been feeling unhappy, that I kept compromising, and he reneged on it. After some more crying and consoling, my husband agreed that Sunday should have remained off limits. He gently asked me to give him a pass for one more Sunday because his students' exams end next week, and he would make Sunday untouchable the following semester onward. He also promised to try to resize his classes in order to be able to come back home for dinner, even if it's a late dinner. He asked for time to do all this. I've given it to him, and I know he loves us enough to do what he promised. Update 2. Around a year ago, I had been having issues with my husband regarding his tutoring schedule and came here to find out if I was in the wrong. A few people had asked me to let them know if things improved or continued to deteriorate. We're in a better place now. We've been blessed with a daughter as well. He has become better at handling his workload and tutors primarily online now. I know I had said at the time that that's not much better, but it really is. Sundays have become sacrosanct again, and Wednesdays are free now too. He does more group tutoring now and usually finishes by 8:30 most days. He also got a new day job, which is entirely work from home, which has made things much better because he isn't so burnt out anymore. In the weeks leading up to my daughter's arrival, he was by my side, especially since she arrived during the summer when school is out. I also took some advice from here and hired help to ease the burden, which has worked out really well. I've also learned to embrace the fact that his tutoring gives him joy, which maybe his software development job doesn't. He seems to be proud when his students get into good universities, and that results in even more students. He still claims to do it purely for financial reasons, but I know that can't be completely true because our financial needs really do not require it. So it must be something he enjoys. I've become more understanding on that front too. I have had to put my foot down a few times, especially in the initial days following our conversation, to make sure he understands that I was serious about needing his presence more. I also confided in his older sister about this issue, but it helped. They had an argument and she straight up told him he was either going to end up working his way into an early grave at the age of 30 or ending up divorced, which helped. Full disclosure, the only time we really argue is still about this, when I want him to be free but he won't be. But it's rare, and overall we've come up with a good balance that seems to be working for us. Thank you. Real Loch Nessie said, I was impressed with OP's desire to understand her husband while maintaining boundaries around her and their family's needs. I worry about the husband though. Whether he intends it or not, it comes across as if he cares less about his own children and wife than he does his students. I hope that changes for all their sakes. To this, Jasmadoodle said, my dad was an engineer, and one of the family jokes is the story of how I was about 6 years old before I realized he lived at our house. He left before I woke in the mornings, often got home after I was in bed, and traveled about 70% of the time anyway. I was also about 22 the first time I heard him use the phrase, my kids, to refer to us, his 4 biological children, rather than the long line of younger engineers he brought on as interns and mentored. It's all kind of painful sometimes. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersubs. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.